One more time. Perfect. Guys, I'm not gonna make this moment any longer because we do have our stars coming along with us. And we are thrilled. I need a round of applause for Mr. Mike Edmonds. Hello, sir. Welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you. Please take a seat. And next one in the line, Mr. Daniel Logan. Come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel.
Guten Abend, German Comic Con.
And next one, Mr. Paul Blake.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, 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 hello. And last but not least, Mr. Jack Clef. Welcome, gentlemen, to our stage. The second day of Comic Con Dortmund. How are you feeling, gentlemen?
Dreadful.
A bit tired, but it's been a wonderful day. Really enjoyed it.
Really? Did you have a lot of guests coming and saying hi to you?
Yeah, quite a few old friends as well, which I've met over here, you know, in past years. Yeah,
that's really nice.
Which is lovely.
That's really nice. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, how about you? How's your time coming in Dortmund?
Wonderful. I love you. I love that you came out and you've supported the Comic Con and Star Wars, and we're all very grateful that you're all here.
Yep, like Daniel, all I can say is McClunky. Yeah, I love you too. Love you too. Hello.
Now you got to point at them like you. I love you.
I love you. I love you. You. I love you. I love. Thank you very much. How lovely. It's fantastic. We like Dortmund. We want to take it home and have babies with it.
That might be a little technically difficult. A little bit difficult. Beautiful. Three of you gentlemen are from the original trilogy. One is a new.
Unfortunately, Mike is the only one not.
And Mike is the only one not, exactly. He's the newbie. And of course, the franchise is gigantic. Is one of the biggest or the biggest franchise ever. And the fan base is amazing, aren't we? And you are signing and talking to guests, to the fans all the time. What was the weirdest thing that you have to sign on an event?
Well, there's a lot of flesh.
Yeah.
A great deal of flesh, which we can't talk about in too much detail, and it generally happened behind closed doors. And in fact, my court case is still in waiting to come to fruition on that. So, yeah, we've signed a lot of very strange things, and Danny particularly.
Tell us more.
No, I only sign 8x10s and Funko Pop toys. No, I've had everything from a napkin to someone's child to themselves and...
Wait. You signed a child?
Yeah, you know, they want Boba Fett to bless their kids, so I have to put the marker Kane on them.
Okay.
What have you signed, Jack?
Yeah, the same sort of thing, and T-shirts and flesh. Yes.
T-shirts and flesh.
So you're coming to me last time, repeating all the same answers all the time. I'm sorry, but there you are. I'm actually boring myself.
So, I've signed a bit of flesh as well. And it's very hard to keep a steady hand, you know, I'm shaking it. And I had to sign a woman's breast. And she was going to have it tattooed, you know, so I put my name, you know, Logan the Ewok, you know, on somebody's breast.
Jeez, or Louise, okay. Well, that's exciting.
That's spot for me.
Guys, I'm gonna check with our lovely audience if they have any questions for you. Guys, any questions for our stars? Hands up, and my assistant's gonna chase you with a microphone.
Gentlemen at the back, thank you for coming.
And I hope they're not biting today. They might, I don't know if they're vaccinated.
I don't know they're biting. So welcome you to Dortmund, and thanks that you're here. I think we all know the original 3 Star Trek movies by heart. The fan base is a little bit split, I think, about in episode 1 to 3. And now the newer movies are on, and what I noticed is that there's very much recycling of scenes, just putting them into a new story. What are you thinking about this way Disney is treating the story?
Well, it's no longer our toy. You know, it never was our toy. That's the problem. It was originally, of course, Lucasfilm's toy, and up to George to decide what he wanted in any one particular movie or particular scene. And of course, after the original 3 and the long period between the old movies and the new movies, they talked about so much stuff. And in that time, you guys all happened and had an opinion. And that opinion influenced Lucasfilm. So obviously you get many different variations of scenes, different variations of things, because basically Lucasfilm listened to what you were saying. Then Disney became involved, so the whole thing took on another level. Regardless of how you feel about the franchise going to Disney, it did take on a new dimension. And of course now you've got all the latest spin-offs on not just the original trilogy, but the next 3 movies and the final 3. So the whole thing is so complex and complicated now that it's no wonder that scenes have changed, I think. But like you guys, I mean, if you want to know our opinions, I mean, the other guys will tell you, but of course, I prefer the original 3.
I don't know enough about this, but I got the feeling, and you tell me because you see them and you study them more than I do, it seems like there's been a return to form. In other words, it seems like they got better recently, or 1 or 2 of them got better. Is that right? Or no? Yes? Yeah, I think people were disappointed by some of the follow-ups or the prequels, and now they're saying that they're getting better. Is that right?
I think you're right, yeah.
That's right.
Technically, they're getting better, you know, because we did a lot of the stunts and things ourselves, and now they do it all electronically. And some of the characters I'm not too keen on, especially one called Jar Jar Binks, which I think is a terrible character and things like that, and horrible. I do, it's
Ladies and gentlemen, the grumpy Ewok.
I know, I moan about everything, yeah. I have to shout a lot because I'm little, so I make a lot of noise. So. But anyway, Daniel, what do you know about it?
I know I was in one of the 3 that you guys have all talking trash on, so I appreciate that. But no, be honest. The fact is that we have a prolonged history now of more Star Wars. Your future children and the future generations now have an opportunity to have their own Star Wars and their own film. No matter how you look at it, you give Star Wars long enough, they'll make another one that you can complain about, that the last one you complained about wasn't actually so bad after all. People are like, you know, your Attack of the Clones wasn't so bad now. We're back in the day, like you sucked. Like, that was the worst one of the prequels. It was the love story. Like, well, it's not my fault that Anakin and Padme had to make love and find love. But yeah, I was in the suckful love story, but I'm so proud that George Lucas was the one to give me direction.
True that.
Do you guys understand us? For the most part, you all understand enough English, you understand us?
That's amazing, because we don't understand what we're saying most of the time.
And gentlemen, if we're talking about opinions, what is your opinion on the newest creation that's just appeared? Everybody knows what I'm talking about?
The Ewok story!
No.
The Christmas special, do you mean that one? The new Christmas special.
The holiday special.
The Mandalorian. Woo. What do you think about it? Have you seen it?
Again, there's only Danny that can tell you all about this.
Me?
I don't know anything about it.
No, I haven't seen the movie yet. Have you seen it?
Yeah, sorry, I've got to say that again. Sorry, thank you, pass on.
No, we haven't. I mean, Danny, I presume you have. You've seen the episodes. So he will tell you all about it.
Daniel, tell us all about it.
I think it's wonderful.
That's it. There you go.
We've now explored a new world in Star Wars, which the fan base has wanted for a long time. Everybody always expected it to be a Boba Fett story and it to be based upon the Mandalorian as we all knew as Boba Fett. But due to Disney taking it over, we've explored new characters, which is the greatest part about Star Wars, is finding new and exploring new characters and new worlds. So it's a great Western. For me with ADHD, it's a little slow right now and a little too short. I need longer episodes and a little more action already. So it's great though. And from a person who loves Western and sci-fi, it blends them both together perfectly.
True that. True that. Thank you so much for your opinion. Guys, any other questions from the host? Here you go.
Gentleman down here.
Yeah, hi. It's a very honor to meet some of the characters from my film of my life, Star Wars. Episode 4, 5, and 6 was one. Is my favorite film in every time. And I would like to ask every one of you, how is it to fly in the X-Wing? How is it to get lost again, Han Solo? And how it is to hug Carrie Fisher?
I think you got the best one. Let's start with yours, yeah.
Mike, let's start
Carrie
with you.
Fisher. We're talking about a long time ago, and I was younger then, and she was great fun to work with. She was, and it still was to the very end, wasn't she? When even doing these conventions, she was very good with all the fans. And it was just a wonderful experience, it really was. And as for the story of the shoe going through Jabba the Hutt's skin, there is one going about that, and it hit me, it was nowhere near me. So I could rub that one out, so there you go.
Thank you so much. Jack, Paul?
Yeah, well, I did the film that I was in, New Hope. I filmed for 2 days in a studio in London, just outside London, and really, I mean, you've all heard the story, right? So I was in a capsule, and they had the color separation overlay behind me, which in those days was dark blue. You all know that. You know, so I didn't have the stars behind me or anything. I had the screen, and I had, I suppose, 16, maybe 10 guys, you know, big, hefty guys, moving a board that I sat on, and they moved it so that I moved. You all know this story, don't you? Yeah? So they moved it around, and I was in the capsule, and they very quietly said to me, "Do you mind being blown up?" And I said, "No, absolutely fine." And they blew me up, and they gave me a wet rag. And George Lucas, who was the quietest person on set, said, "Thank you very much, good job." And that was it. So all I did really was sit there, say a few lines, look in certain directions, get blown up, and go home. I had no idea that it was going to be... Yes, that's pretty much everyone's life. But I had no idea. I mean, my agent had no idea that this was going to be a big hit. My agent thought the film was called Stan Wars because it was wrongly written on the thing that was sent to me. So I was in Stan Wars. And much later, people said, "Oh, this is the biggest movie ever." But at the time, we didn't know what it was. And it took a long time. I happened to be in the theater. This woman came up to me and she said she'd seen Star Wars 80 times. And then we knew it was a phenomenon. But when I was in it, it was just a really interesting job with sitting on a board and being chucked around. And all the stuff that you saw was put in later.
No, Jack's absolutely right. I mean, in the very first one, we couldn't wait to leave. We were in there and out as quickly as we could because we all thought it was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is, you know, we thought in 1976, when that movie was made, every other sci-fi film was a B movie, so we had no idea. But I must say, I mean, like Jack, I was lucky that my little bits were in the cantina scene, which was a real set. And so that was pretty cool to sit around there and watch people like Mike running around and doing bits and pieces. And the only other set I was in front of was the one with the original Jabba the Hutt, who was an actor called Declan Mulholland, because the original Jabba was a tiny little Irish actor. And we did a scene in front of the Millennium Falcon, which then didn't exist. It was a beautiful painting on backdrops like this behind you, which looked so real. And in the middle of it was a ramp, and you walked up the ramp and you fell off the back. And that was the Millennium Falcon in 1976. So things have changed a great deal. But again, like Jack says, we did have a pretty cool time sitting around doing those things.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. Thank you. Guys, any other questions? All right. Thanks, guys. You're amazing.
You're good man.
They know all of the stories already, so why should they ask? You know, there's a question.
There's a lady there.
I would like to know if you ever saw an episode of The Clone Wars or Rebels, and if yes, how you liked it.
Have you seen an episode of Clone Wars or Rebels, and did you like it?
No and no.
I never saw it, but I thought it was great.
Mike?
No, I haven't.
Daniel?
These guys stopped watching Star Wars after the originals, so don't worry, forgive them. Like prequels, what do you mean? No, trash. Clone Wars trash. I had seen the Clone Wars because I was in the Clone Wars. I loved the Clone Wars. It brought Boba Fett back to life.
Yeah.
Before we actually had the Clone Wars canceled, I had done quite a few episodes that weren't yet released of me doing bounties and starting to become the character Boba Fett. One of the greatest things that Clone Wars had given me was that I had done a scene with Cad Bane, and it was an old Western scene where we shot against each other. And although they haven't yet released the episode, it still gave the story of the new episodes to how Boba Fett got his dent on his helmet. Now, if you ask one of my protege, my idol, Jeremy Bullock, he'll say, "No, Daniel, that's not how I got the dent on my helmet. It's from when he run up the ramp in the Slave One. He was too tall and he kept smacking his head." So he said it was the dent from the top of the Slave One door. So I can't really take that away from him, but the new generation is Cad Bane shot me and I shot him, and we still don't know who lived. But I did get a dent out of it all.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, maybe you have a question to our audience, or maybe you have some kind of message that we would like to send to the fans.
I got a good question. Who here has bought these guys' autograph this weekend?
Who has an autograph from those gentlemen? There is one, there's 2, 3, 4. Yes, that's success. Yeah.
Well done. Excellent. Great question, Danny. I like that.
Could you just ask them, because they asked us about which ones we liked.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can frame a question? Well, just which ones they like.
All right, which ones are new versus old, or one by one? Okay, let's do that. Guys, the old Star Wars? Or the new Star Wars?
Out.
So I guess we had the vote.
Sounded pretty even to me.
It sounded very even because all Star Wars is amazing. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have you here, but unfortunately our time is finished on this stage. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here for your fans. And fans, thank you so much for being here for our gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much.
Round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm coming. I can't run.